Hey everybody! Today I want to tell you a quick story. It is actually Porter's birthday tomorrow and we are getting ready to celebrate. Got some wrapping paper, we're gonna wrap a couple of presents for him, and we're gonna chat about how Porter became a part of our family and the journey, a little bit of the journey that I went on to get to that point. Let's get started. So I have not been super vocal on this channel yet about my experience with trying to become a mother. And to be honest, I don't know exactly why I've not been more vocal about it, but it just has never quite felt like the right time. And now it feels like time to kind of explain part of my story. So Chris and I got married really young. I was 19, he was 21. And we immediately decided it was time to start a family, and we began trying to get pregnant, and we got pregnant fairly quickly, and almost as quickly we miscarried and lost that baby. And then we got pregnant again and miscarried again, and we got pregnant a third time, and that one seemed like it was more promising. And I got to about 15 weeks along with that pregnancy and then miscarried again. I didn't know if I was ever gonna carry full term. I'd had, miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage. Then along came Weston, and I thought, finally, I'm not broken. I can carry full term. It was incredible. And then I got pregnant again, and we found out that we were having twins. And that night, I lost both babies. We were excited, and we were shocked, and we were scared, and before we even had time to process that there were two children, it was over. Then we got pregnant again, and along came Lily. And you guessed it, after Lily, another miscarriage. Then we got pregnant yet again. We felt like we needed another one, and so we were still trying, and we got Drake. After Drake, we were not trying to get pregnant. We were not intending for another, and I got pregnant again and miscarried yet again. So at this point, we were at 6 miscarriages, one of which was twins. So we've now had 7 children die and only 3 living children. And at that point, I was emotionally and mentally spent. It was done. I couldn't fathom the idea of going through another pregnancy, or the anxiety of, am I going to carry this time? Am I going to have the heartbreak of another child dying? I couldn't do it. I prayed at least 1,000 times, constantly. I think to the point that God was like, stop asking me the same question again and again and again. But I didn't feel like I had gotten a solid answer yet, and so I kept asking. I wasn't asking, is our family complete? I was asking, can I be done now? I don't want to do it anymore. I never once asked, are 3 children, is that all I'm gonna raise on the earth? I didn't ask that question. I just begged and begged and begged to be done with the roller coaster I was on. I felt very strongly after a while that we were in a good place. And I honestly think now, looking back, that I convinced myself of that. That I was just so done, that I was over it. And Chris and I had talked about it, and we felt like he felt he was done. I felt I was done. We were good. I was putting stuff in bins that our youngest had grown out of at that point. And Chris said, well, why are you putting it in bins? Why are you keeping it? And I said, well, just in case. And he said, but we're done, right? And I said, well, yeah, we're done having kids. And he said, then donate it. We don't need it anymore. And I went, okay. And I got this moment of courage, and I decided we were good. We could go ahead and donate that stuff. About a week later, my sister announced that she was having her 4th baby. And I was so happy for her. But the first thought in my head was, so glad it's not me. And then About a week after that, my sister-in-law announced that she and my younger brother were pregnant with their first. And again, so happy for them. But my first reaction was, it's not me, whoop whoop. I just dated myself with the razor. Oh, you guys, I'm so old. Okay, moving on with the story. I was super stoked that it wasn't me. Well, I had some sort of bug. I had some sort of like virus or something funky going on that I was waking up every morning and I was dry heaving. And I wasn't actually throwing up. I was a little nauseated, but nothing too crazy. But I was dry heaving into the sink like every single day, every day. And I legitimately believed I had some sort of virus or something going on, but I would get over it. It'd be fine. I don't remember this, but Chris says I had mentioned that my chest was uncomfortable, that I was hurting, and he said that's a telltale sign between the dry heaving and the discomfort occurring. Pretty sure you need to take a test. And he and I legitimately argued for like hours. And not like argued, like yelling at each other, but like going back and forth discussing. And all of a sudden he started telling me that he kept having these nudges, like from the Holy Spirit, that there's another one. There's another baby on the way. You guys aren't done yet. He kept getting these little things, but he was pushing them away. He was ignoring them because we were done. I finally, after hours, legitimately hours of discussion, I finally agreed to go ahead and take a pregnancy test. Now, my goal with taking this test was simply to prove Chris wrong, to show him that I'm not pregnant, we're not having any more, we're done, dude. I went out that evening to the store and I bought a test. The next morning, I took the test first thing as soon as I woke up. At that time, I babysat some of my neighbors' kids, a couple cute girls, and I took the pregnancy test and I set it on the counter, and then they knocked on the door before it had had time to process. So I hurried and I ran downstairs and I left the test there. I chatted with their mom for a minute. I made sure they were settled and everything was good, and I went back upstairs to check the test. Chris had woken up when I did, and I didn't realize it. He had gone into the bathroom and saw that I had taken the test and looked at the results. So when I went to walk in the room, he was sitting on the counter, swinging his legs like a little kid, big old goofy grin on his face, and he was thrilled to be holding a positive pregnancy test. And I thought I was going to pass out. I was terrified, and I was overwhelmed, and my anxiety just skyrocketed, because every time a positive test happened for me, it didn't necessarily mean a baby was coming. It meant that my body was going to change. It meant that my emotions were going to be everywhere. It meant that either I was going to feel the highest highs of holding my child, or I was going to be in the depths of despair again. And in that moment, I didn't know which it was going to be. But here we were, pregnant again, for the 10th time. I'm absolutely ashamed to admit this. I had a brief moment, just a few seconds, literally a few seconds, that the thought of an abortion came into my mind. Because I was so terrified. And I thought, maybe I can take control of the situation and just end it on my own terms before it ends itself. God, I'm so ashamed of that. But I have so much empathy now. So much empathy for anyone who goes through that. I don't believe abortion's the answer. I don't. I wholeheartedly believe that baby deserves life. But I understand being overwhelmed and being terrified. And I had a happy home. I have a partner, I have a husband, I have 3 beautiful children that I already know how to handle and how to raise. And still got in my head. I have so much love and so much empathy for any woman that has to go through that decision. We had just learned that morning that I was pregnant. It was that same night I was laying in the bathtub and just reeling still, trying to process everything that was going through my head and through my heart. And I remember that thought coming in, and it sat for just literally a few seconds, and I immediately started dry heaving. I couldn't do that to myself. I couldn't do it to my child. I couldn't do it to my other children. I couldn't do it to my husband, who was so immediately just full of joy and excitement for this baby. So we moved forward. I had a really hard time accepting, and I went into an incredibly deep depression for a couple of months. I was so sick, throwing up constantly. My anxiety was beyond control. I felt like I had zero control or decision-making powers in my own life. I hated it. I hated it. I didn't want the situation that I was in. We didn't have money to buy brand new everything for a new baby, because we literally gave everything away except the pack and play, and only because I still babysat the neighbor's kids and I needed the pack and play for her nap time. Everything else was gone. But in time, I realized that I needed to trust God. That it was okay that I'm not in control. And in fact, it's good that I'm not in control. Because how many incredible things would we miss out on if we didn't let Him guide us? I remember the first ultrasound when I was pregnant with Porter. Everything changed in an instant. I saw his beautiful face, just the outline, that cute little nose. I saw his heart beating so strong in his little tiny chest. I saw his hands moving and his feet kicking, and I felt him kick back against the ultrasound. And all of a sudden, I was overwhelmed with love for this little boy. And I knew that he was mine. He was meant to be mine from the beginning. And that our family needed him to be complete. Then when he was born, he was the happiest baby. He just smiles at everything and was so giggly, and now he's turning 4 and he is our little jokester and he is our ray of sunshine and he is so excited about everything and he tells me how wonderful life is. Literally every day he tells me how great things are and how much he loves the simplest little things. We needed him. I needed him. And I often think about those few seconds, just those few seconds, that I was in my darkest, lowest place I've ever been. And I was the most frightened I've ever been in my life. And I thought about ending it. I thought maybe it would be easier to just take it away, to take him away, instead of accepting God's plan. I'm so grateful every single day that little boy was sent to me. Even though he was sent at a time that was the hardest, darkest place I've ever been. He's an incredible gift. So here's the point of this whole thing. Sometimes in life, you get handed a real crappy hand. Like real crappy. And when that happens, we have a choice. We can choose to accept it, and to embrace it, and to love the change and the journey that we're on. Or we can fight against it. We can push back. And we can argue with God that it's not the right thing, that it's not the right thing for me, that it shouldn't have happened. But I want to tell you wholeheartedly, from my own personal experience, that when we surrender completely to God's plan, we allow His light into our hearts and into our souls, and we embrace the insanity that sometimes gets thrown our way. Oh, it's beautiful. Trust in God. Because He knows your heart and He knows what's best. And you guys got this. Whatever you're struggling with, if you're at that deepest, darkest, the most difficult place, like I was 4 years ago, it gets better. It doesn't just get better, it gets great. And you're still gonna dip down to those places sometimes, to those hard moments. But if we take those dark moments and we use them to grow and to become stronger and to become better, brighter human beings, then it's not so hard the next time we get knocked down. Whatever it is you're going through, you've got this. I'm here. I'm cheering for you. I'm ready to see you succeed. You've got this. Keep going. Keep pushing. Keep fighting. Whatever it is that you're fighting through. You're amazing. Thank you guys so much for watching. I didn't even get to wrapping presents. Oh my gosh. I was so busy talking and telling Porter's story, I didn't even wrap presents. Okay, we gotta get that done real fast. We just got in these two big things. We don't go big on birthdays with stuff. We go big on experiences. So, we're gonna go party. Thank you guys so much for watching my video today. Have a fantastic day, everybody. That Otter Momma signing out.